Hello TTS Today listeners, and welcome back to another episode. Today we are going to be going through order entry. So basically just going through how to add items, select pricing for those items, create the order, and set up the releases. Alright, so once you're all logged in, the first thing that we'll need to do for this is head over to order, and then create orders. So we'll select our vendor. We're going to stick with Gravity Industries, my favorite. As for a customer, we'll do A&S Electric. For the ship to address, if you have them already created, you can just select them from this drop down. However, if you get to this section and realize you don't have the ship to address created yet, you can just click this red new button. And we can call this TTS Today address, and we'll put 12345 Main Street. The city will be Philadelphia, PA. That's where I'm at. Postal code 19147. And if we want to add a phone number or any internal remarks or a shipping note, we can do that. And when I hit create, it's actually going to save this ship to address for this customer. So I'll hit create, and it'll set this up for us. You see it's now in the drop down, and anytime somebody wants to select this address again, it'll pop up. Customer PO, we'll just put in some random digits. If you have a contact name for where it's going to be delivered, we could just put in John Smith for now. Oh, John Smith came up twice. Didn't mean to type that twice. Expected delivery date, let's just say we expect it to be there for Monday. If I have a quote reference number, I can add that in too. So let's just say this is referencing quote number 7. Additionally, if you have a vendor order number that you want to have on here, you can do that as well. Job name, we'll call this podcast. The vendor authentication code, this is meant really for any customers that you have on credit hold. You know, if you still need to get an order out for them, you'll enter in a code and it will allow you to create an order. You know, I know a lot of reps will just put in initials, they know who put in the code. You'll notice in the vendor customer xref right here, this is the cross-reference number for this customer and this vendor. The selling rep code, that's something that you guys have set up in the vendor options, so you won't be able to change this. Select a shipper. Let's just go best way. I'm not sure who I want yet. And then freight terms, F equals MA. And just like with the select ship to address, you can create a new shipper right here. You can also create a new freight term right here. And just make sure you click save, and it'll save those to the system for future use. Order memo, very important. Can't spell. Film today. And if I want to add a trailing note, I can. Let's just say, please rush this. So now I'm ready to start adding items. So there are a couple ways you can do this. One is through the reusable bill of material, which Steve actually had a video on last week, so feel free to head to our YouTube page and check that out. Otherwise, we're just going to be going through the add item page. Here you can just start typing product, so we'll start off with Bray. That's for Tycho Brahe. He's a famous physicist. I think he's most famous for having his nose cut off in a duel. Little fun fact of knowledge for today. Once you have the product selected, you can select your pricing. So you'll notice that there is a special price, so that's what the default is. But we also have column pricing set up. So you see it's got the best price. That's the other pricing set up for this customer. And if we want something else, we can just select manual, but I'm going to leave it as the special price since that's the best one for the customer. And shows we've got 13,000 available, so let's just order 5,000. If we just hit tab, it'll automatically throw that into the quantity to commit. So I'll just hit add order item. Now we can move on to the next one. We'll do coulomb. Again, special price or best pricing, manual, whichever one you want. And we'll put in 500 for this. There's only 900 available. Actually, we'll get a factory back order on this one. So we'll put in 1,500. And again, if we hit tab, it'll throw it down here. So I have the option to put this on warehouse back order. Today I'm going to just put it on factory back order. If you're curious about warehouse back orders, Steve also has a video on warehouse back orders that you can check out on our YouTube page. So now we've got our items added. There is one other way you can add an item, and that's going to be through a manual product. So say you get an order for something that you guys don't have in the system, might just be a one-time part, then you could just do add manual product. It'll go right to the factory back order, and you don't really have to worry about setting it up in the system. You do have to select a freight category, right? You're basically setting up a part for temporary use. So we can just call this temporary. Product description, we can leave it as manual product, or we can enter something in if we want. Order quantity, let's go 500. We can leave the standard package quantity as 1. We'll have to do price per, weight per, and give it a weight of 1, and a price of 10. And we can add the manual product. So one thing to notice is a couple of these have a star next to them. So that just means that there are multiple bins on these parts, and you'll notice they're a bit grayed out. And here means if you want to change what's being committed, what's on warehouse back order, what's on factory back order, you'll have to hit this shopping cart and use this to distribute the bin. So for Bray, in this example, it's actually it has a bin in a separate warehouse, so that's why it has this star. If we look at Einstein though, we click this, we've got 2 bins. You'll notice that I put as much as I could on the secondary bin just to clear that out, and then I put the rest on primary and a little bit onto a factory back order. So I'll hit distribute bin again. Whereas with coulomb, right, I could move this around if I wanted, do 500, and the 100 will automatically go in. But I'm going to leave that as 0. Again, if you want to learn how to fill a warehouse back order, you want to check out Steve's video on warehouse back orders. So that is pretty much what we want for our order. So at this point we are ready to create releases. What we're going to find is that it's going to create 2, one for everything that's committed and then one for everything that's on factory back order. So we're just going to click create releases, and we'll get this pop up. Right, so up top again we've got the factory back order, and then down below we've got what's on our main order. So you'll notice Einstein pops up twice. It's going to do that because it's coming from 2 separate bin locations. Don't worry, it's not showing the total quantity twice, right? It splits it up, so there shouldn't be any confusion there. So now the next step is going to be to save and release order. If I want to assign somebody in the warehouse to this release, I can do that just selecting this drop down. So I'll give it to myself. But if you realize that they're not on here and you want to create a new one, you can do that as well. And again, this is not a required field, so you don't even need to put somebody on there. So from here we can just click save and release order. So now you'll see our order pops up in the first line of the order manage page. It's because it's the most recent order that we've done. And all that's left is to create paperwork, pick the items, and verify our release. So if we click this little piece of paper with a check mark, this will give us our quick release view, is what I like to call it. So you'll see this first release, it's the factory back order. The easiest way to see that this is a factory back order is it starts off verified, right? You're really just going to send this paperwork to the vendor and they'll handle the rest. You guys don't need the ship via, freight charge, any of that jazz. See on our release shipping from our warehouse, we've got a lot more information. Again, we can click this plus just to check the items. But here you have the option to change the shipper if you want. You can add a freight charge, so let's just say this will be $15. If we have a tear weight, we can do that as well. But most of this you probably won't be adding on until you've gotten that signed warehouse copy back. So we can just create that and take a look. So if we hit warehouse release right here, we can open it up. So it's got our items. It's going to show the bin for each of these items where they're being picked from over here. Right, you've got primary and secondary for Einstein. Then you've got primary for the other two items. It does have a lot of the shipping information, right? Ordered by, shipped to, shipped via. And it's also got a signature line for the warehouse staff, right? You can see it's even got my name attached for the warehouse staff. So this will be me signing, just saying, hey, this is okay, or hey, I need to change something. So let's just say we realize that we don't actually have enough of Bray. We'll want to go into the order to make the appropriate changes. So we can go back to the manage order page. We can close these out. And what we're going to want to do is unverify this, and we'll update. We'll click it again. And now we'll just want to throw these in the trash. So we are ready to make the edits on this order, right? It's showing as pending release now rather than pending verification. So we'll just click into edit. And we'll want to unlock, it was Bray that we're making the change on. We'll just need to use the shopping cart, right? Since it's got this star, it has multiple bins. Even though they're in multiple warehouses, it's still how we need to make the change. So we'll click the shopping cart. Let's just say we change this to 2,500. And we'll put the rest on the factory. It does still show 13,100 available. So with that, once we're done with this, we will need to go in and make an inventory adjustment. But today we're just going through orders and we'll have another podcast about that. So here we'll hit create releases again. Now you'll see it pops up on the factory release as well as our release. And we can do update releases and order. So we know that everything is properly picked. So at this point we can actually verify, right? So there's a couple ways we can do that. Either clicking that quick release view and sliding this over to yes, or we can just put a little check next to the order and do one-click verification. And now that it is totally verified, the status is now complete. So we can create all the paperwork that we need, right? Packing slip, shipper's copy. What I'm going to do is just select everything. We're going to bypass verification status even. And we are going to combine in one file. So if we click create PDF format, It'll come up as one nice clean file, easy to print out. Of course, you don't need to select every single copy right now. Really, once you've gotten that warehouse release back, at this point you're really just going to be creating that packing slip and shipper's copy. And if you want, you can create a release copy or an order copy. Again, that's up to you guys. But I just figured I'd create all of them just to go through each so you can take a look. So first, we're going to have this order copy, no price. So it gives us our order number, date, vendor, agent, really the bulk of the information for just the order. It does show how much has been shipped. So you'll notice that doesn't really add up to the quantity ordered, since the quantity on factory back order is going to take away from what's shipped. But if you add these together, it will add up to the quantity ordered. Next, we've got the order copy with the price. The only difference is this has the price on it. If we keep scrolling down, we'll find our factory back order release. Next in line, we've just got our main release. So this is what we're shipping. Here we've got our packing slip. This is our shipper's copy. And I should have had some more freight categories set up. That way these would show up in the proper lines. But we have two freight categories for this. One is blank, and then one is for to be determined. And so that just gives the total number of cartons and bundles in each freight category, as well as the total weight for each one. And finally, we've got that warehouse copy again. At this point, you don't really need it, but if you need to print it out so it looks nice and clean without the chicken scratch and any of the edits, this is where you can do it. So that is order entry in a nutshell. If you have any questions or ideas for future podcasts, feel free to reach out to us at asktts@tradetechsolutions.com. Otherwise, feel free to give any of us a call. Today's episode was a suggestion by Sandy Myers over at FRM. So thanks for the suggestion. And that's it for today. See you next time.